Hi everyone, welcome to a special Valentine's edition of Cabin Crafts. Today we're going to be talking about Valentine's Day and its association with chocolate, the history of chocolate. I will try to be as brief as I can, but for all of you fasties out there, you might want to scroll on by because I just cannot condense myself down into 8 minutes. It's just impossible. But today we're going to be talking about different kinds of chocolate, and since it's Valentine's Day and we all give chocolate at Valentine's Day, I thought this would be a great little video to do. I'm drinking my cup of cacao chocolate. This is chocolate tea. Whoop! I just spilled it. I don't know if you can see that or not. I was trying to get it to where you could see it and I just spilled it all over my table. But so this is live. Anyway, I brought cacao tea and I brought American Heritage chocolate. I sell this in my store. This is, I'm sorry, it's backwards again. I'm doing this all by myself, as you can tell. It's not professional whenever Ron doesn't do it. But this is what you get when you get me. So I've got American Heritage chocolate. I've got cacao tea. We're going to talk about these things real briefly. The first one is the cacao tea. This is a very historical tea. I sell this in my shop. I'm going to open up the can and you can see what it looks like. Those are cacao shells, roasted cacao shells. And this is historical for the reason that this was one of Martha Washington's favorite teas to drink in the morning. On the back of the can, here's a cute little picture of Martha on the back of the can. And on the back of the can it says, Martha Washington enjoyed drinking cacao shell tea, which she made from roasted shells and sipped at breakfast. George Washington wrote to his agent in London, she will thank you to get 20 pounds of the shells of cocoa nuts if they can be had of the chocolate makers. So in London, George Washington was a tobacco farmer, so he would have an agent in London, and when he would ship his tobacco to London, they would receive goods in return. They didn't necessarily get cash. They would get they would order things that they needed for their home, like implements, tools, farm tools, china, clothing. In one of his journal entries, he ordered toys for Martha's children, Patsy and Jackie. So they would have ordered things that they needed for their household that they got from the agent in London. So that in one of those letters, he asked for cacao shell, roasted cacao shells, so Martha could make a tea. And I thought that was very interesting. And I sell 4 different kinds of the cacao shell tea in my store. I sell the regular cacao shell, cacao cinnamon, cacao citrus, and cacao mint. And unfortunately, I just got notice this week from the tea company I represent that they're having an issue with their producers in South America, and they can't get any more cacao shells right now. So we're kind of on hold until they can get that issue resolved. So I've only got like 3 cans of citrus and 3 cans of mint in my store, and when they're gone, I'm kind of up a creek until they get that issue resolved, and hopefully that will happen soon. But anyway, that is about the teas. The chocolate that I brought to show you today, I also sell in my shop. This is American Heritage chocolate. It's about a ½ ounce little tablet of chocolate, and I unwrapped one to show you. That's what it looks like. Isn't that pretty? It's got a little cacao tree on the front. It's kind of thick. So it's about a ½ ounce. And after you eat dinner, if you're like me and you want a little something sweet, but you don't want anything really heavy, a lot of times we'll just reach for a piece of chocolate, and this will do the trick. I'm telling you, a little dab will do you for sure. You just eat that one little tablet and I'm satisfied. It's weird. I don't need to like eat 6 or 8 of them. For one thing, it's kind of rich. And this is a historical recipe, this American Heritage chocolate. It's made by the Mars Company here in America, the chocolate company that brings you M&Ms. So it's made by the Mars Company in small batches. The recipe is from the 18th century. It is, on the cover it says 57% cacao, so it's a dark chocolate, and it's not extremely sweet. It's not bittersweet. It's just really good. I don't know how to explain it, but some of the ingredients in it are cinnamon, anise, nutmeg, red pepper, And boy, is that a little bit different. And it's not enough to make you be like, I'm thirsty, I need to drink something after. It's just got a little bit of a kick to it in those spices, and they kind of linger on your tongue after you eat the chocolate. So it's actually really, really good. And chocolate first came to America in 1641 with the Spaniards at Fort St. Augustine in Florida. They brought several crates of chocolate to St. Augustine. And so as far as we know, that's the first recording of chocolate coming to America. And of course it came through the Spaniards because the Spaniards, conquered South America, the conquistadors. And so chocolate has been around for about 3,500 years being farmed or produced agriculturally by the Inca, the Maya, and the Aztecs. And they would use chocolate in ceremonial rituals. So it wasn't just something that they did on a everyday basis. Oh, I need a cup of chocolate. And theirs would not have been sweet. It was very spicy. And today, if you go to Mexico, sometimes you can see the women down there. They have that really cool frothing tool that they rub between their hands, and they froth that cocoa drink. They make a drink. I think Montezuma called it chocolate, and that's where we get our word chocolate from today. So that is about the American Heritage chocolate. And so where the American Heritage, the Mars Company, got the recipe from was one of the recipes that they looked into was Hannah Glass. And Justine cooks a lot out of Hannah Glass's cookbook on her Early American channel. And I thought it was interesting. I saw in her cookbook, and I have this in the store, it's on my website, Hannah Glass, The Art of Cookery Made Plain and Easy. And she has a recipe called Another Way to Make Chocolate. And it says take 6 pounds of the best Spanish nuts. Now that doesn't mean the Spanish peanuts that we eat out of the can or the jar. This is cocoa nuts. And when parched and cleaned from the hulls, remember the hulls is what is in the tea, take 3 pounds of sugar, 2 ounces of the best cinnamon, beaten and sifted very fine. To every 2 pounds of nuts, put in 3 good vanillas. And she's talking about the vanilla bean. Or more or less as you please. To every pound of nuts, half a drachm of cardamom seeds. I have no idea what a half of a drachm is, but some of this stuff Justine probably would know. Very finely beaten and searsed. So Hannah Glass has a recipe for chocolate in her book. And if you go to Colonial Williamsburg to visit, if you ever get to go there, they have a place called Charlton's Coffee House, and they take in you sign up to go in, and they take in about 10 or 12 people at a time, and you sit at little round tables, and you have a choice of either coffee or hot chocolate. And the hot chocolate that they're using is the American Heritage chocolate. It's that brand. And that's where I first found American Heritage chocolate, was when I went on a trip to Colonial Williamsburg. And when they poured it into my cup, it was like sludge. It was just mud. I mean, it was not like our hot cocoa that we drink today that's all milky and creamy and milk chocolate. It was dark and it was very thick, but boy, was it good. And it was spicy, but not the spice where you feel like you need that you're hot, your tongue is hot or your throat is hot from jalapenos or something. It was a really good spicy, but it was thick and sludgy. It was great. And that would do you too. I mean, you wouldn't need dessert if you had a cup of that, but that was a really neat experience. You go in, you sit down, they tell you the history. And then then they serve you a drink, and you can choose whether you want coffee or chocolate, because this is a coffee house. It's not a tea house. So a little bit about the chocolates there. I also brought, since it's Valentine's Day, the other day I did the penny rug video, and that's got a lot of response. And so a very sweet lady from Missouri here, her name was Lynn Hill, she sent me that little Valentine card. Can you see that? She followed my video and did the blanket stitch and did a heart on a circle and then put it on a piece of red felt and put it on a card. How wonderful is that? That's creative. I would have never thought of putting a penny on a card, but that is a really good idea. You could use that at Christmas. And she just sent me a really sweet Valentine telling me how how much she loved the video about the penny rugs. She couldn't wait to go shopping at the craft store, and so she did this with some craft felt that she had at home. So this was something she already had at home, and she's like, I will definitely be doing more penny projects. Thank you for mentioning ways to try the crafts without a huge investment. So thank you, Lynn. That was absolutely sweet. I was not expecting that whatsoever, and so I just thought I would show your handiwork. If this is your first attempt, you did really, really, really good. So, you know, get to work on those pennies. You could make some beautiful projects. She did a great job. The last thing I brought is an example of, hopefully you can see this. I'm holding it as close as I can. This is called Scherenschnitte. Now, I didn't just say a bad word. This is a German word, and it has something to do with scissor cutting. It means scissor cutting or something, cutting with scissors. I'm sure some of the German-speaking friends out there will, you know, let me know exactly what Scherenschnitte means. I'm sure that there's somebody out there who knows and will fill me in. But the reason why I showed it was in the shape of hearts. Now, this is Noah's Ark. This scene is Noah's Ark. And this lady has since passed, but her name is Polly Winkler Mitchell. And she would fold this paper in half up the middle, and then she cuts on one side all of these designs, and then when you unfold it, you have, you know, a double. This is like how we made snowflakes when we were a kid. You know, we would fold our paper and make snowflakes. This is the same concept, only it's much more intricate, and I brought it because it's hearts. And in Colonial America, did they send Valentines to one another? Well, not in the same way that we do today. They didn't send Valentine cards, and they didn't, you know, necessarily go buy girls chocolates or give them a dozen roses. For one thing, flowers back 200 years ago had meanings, so you gave specific flowers for a specific reason. Nowadays, we just go to the market and we buy flowers. We don't realize that a rose means this, and a larkspur means this, and a posy means, you know, things were much more choreographed in that way, and I think that's really neat. But anyway, they would do, sometimes sailors would make Valentines out of seashells. They would make a heart arrangement with seashells and give to a girl, or cover a really pretty box with seashells in a heart shape. Almost everyone would write poems to each other, love poems. There wasn't cards back then. Sometimes girls would do this, would cut these paper hearts and write pretty things, pretty sayings on them, or, you know. So in a way, it was kind of like a card, but not necessarily. So there's some really beautiful examples of 18th and early 19th century cut hearts that were really intricately cut. And Polly did all of this freehand. She never drew the picture first. She could sit down with a piece of paper and a little tiny pair of scissors, and she just would freehand all of that intricate detail. I love it. Isn't that cute? Look at the goats and the squirrels. There's even penguins in there. I mean, her stuff is amazing, how intricate, little birds. So this is my video about Valentine's Day. Let me know what you think. I've been remiss in the last few videos. A lot of folks don't know what the name of my store is or how you can shop on my website. But the name of my store is Sassafras Creek Originals. My website is www.scoshop, and that's spelled SHOPPE.com. So www.scoshop.com. I have a lot of the things on there. I don't have the Scherenschnitte. I only have a few cans of tea left, unfortunately, so I'm very sorry about that. But write me, let me know what you think. Send me pictures if you make any of these things. Send me pictures of your penny rugs, or if you know about Scherenschnitte. Some people say Scherenschnitte. I don't really know which one is the right pronunciation. Can't even talk today. But anyway, if you know, let me know. And I appreciate your feedback. And thank you very much for watching. And happy Valentine's Day. Bye, everybody.